Good evening, namaste, welcome. So good to be back.
Absolutely. So much of energy to see only. We've been missing you and we're getting so many messages to resume the Sunday conversations live
Yeah.
that,
Yeah, but I've also
how those
thought
a year and
that, the 7 o'clock time on Sundays is like a little difficult to do. So if you can do it at some other time, but I'm just not able to understand or figure out, or we do it on a weekday and then send the recording because 7 o'clock, like in the day also, it just blocks the entire day if we do it like at a earlier time. Yeah. So
but you know
let's
what, live sessions are so very different. That energy of live sessions is different.
I totally agree, but then a lot of people are writing that if you can change the time for 7 o'clock because it's a Sunday evening, and now I guess life has got back to more than normal. So I can understand.
Such
Today
a
is Navami, no? So it's not a regular day, it's a day of a festival.
Yeah.
So
No, even otherwise, like Sunday is like Sunday evening at 7 o'clock. I guess now it is not. So people are not so free at that time also. COVID was a different time when everybody was home, and this was somehow the best time that we could figure. But I'm sure we'll figure it out, and it's fine. As it is, sometimes somebody joins. We have the recordings on YouTube, so it doesn't really matter because, of course, live sessions have their own energy. But yeah, whatever we can do best is best. It's just perfect. Okay, so what are we talking about today?
So we're talking about something so interesting. Stop pressing the rewind button if you really want to delete certain things from or people in our life, and which actually happens just the reverse. That
Mhm,
when we are discussing a situation, even 5 years, 10 years down the line, our
mhm,
energies, I think, are so still fresh in
mhm.
remembering that incident that it's very difficult to detach. And I have also personally felt, and I wanted to ask you, why do we find ourselves more attached to things which have not really been good as an experience, rather than we tend to forget things which are happier, but we tend to stick on to something which has given us emotional setback. And
Yeah.
why is it like that?
Yeah, I mean, while you're speaking, it's just coming to me. It's not about really being able to ever understand the why, but what really comes to me is like, whatever, two things basically. One is that when we look at any setback or anything that has happened in the past, which is sort of has not left a good, remembrance, we tend to, receive sympathy and sympathize with ourselves. So we fall into that victimized mode, which is very seductive for all of us, isn't it? It's like, oh, this happened, it was not fair on you, your boss did this, or your partner did this, or your family didn't do well for whatever reasons, the painful memories. And secondly, I feel that, it's a conditioning. It's a conditioning to be in denial of what is not good. Just like when we feel a negative emotion as a child, we always tell the child not to cry. If the child is hurting, also, we tell the child not to cry because nothing has happened, whereas actually something has happened. The child is in pain, and that is why he or she is crying, isn't it? But we always try to sort of dismiss the negative situation or the negative emotion because it doesn't feel good, and it's not considered okay to not feel good. But now I feel it's very, very different, isn't it? Now I feel it's very, very different. If you're feeling a negative emotion, it's fine to feel it. I mean, if somebody has lost, I was talking to a cousin of mine in the day today, and she lost her father in December, and she was mentioning that, I just don't know what has happened to me after that. I just feel so depressed, you know. So I was just sharing with her that it's okay to feel these emotions, it's okay to feel these emotions of sadness and grief and pain, but don't let them limit you. Don't let them limit your life. Just pick yourself up and try to move on. So it's also this fact about going back to that painful thing, because it's like licking a wound, isn't it? It's like licking a wound. Something has got hurt, and we just need to now put a cover on it and just let it heal on its own. But going back and digging that grave, digging that story again and again, or pressing, like we said, the rewind button, every time we don't realize that every time when we are going back to the story, we're actually solidifying that emotion, solidifying that pain with another emotion, isn't it? Every time we are doing that, we're solidifying it with another layer of pain. Because every time we think, oh, he rejected me, she shouted at me, she was angry at me, we're again imposing the same or repeating the same story and solidifying that hurt or pain, validating that pain, isn't it? And increasing one layer of pain in the whole thing. But a part of us feels very good because it's like somebody has not been good to me, somebody has not been fair to me, isn't it? So it comes from that aspect. And things have not been okay with me, and the blame is all outward directed. That somebody has done something to me, and that's why I'm justified to be in pain. I'm justified to feel hurt. I'm justified to feel victimized. I'm justified to feel whatever I'm feeling. And but now that most of us here, we have been talking about these things and repeating these things, it's only the ego which is getting the boost at that time, isn't it? If you just drop into the hard situation or you come into the bigger picture of what we call that, everything is happening in perfect divine order. We don't need to be challenging or resisting what is happening in life. Then we will be more in acceptance of what happened, and we may narrate the story but not be identified with it. We may not. That's the whole difference. When you say delete, sometimes there are such situations in our lives that we cannot delete them. They are like very big or major in our lives, right? But we delete the pain, the emotion that is connected to it. We may not be able to delete the whole story out of our lives. Yeah, does that make sense? Let's hear from you.
I have something very personal to ask you.
Yeah.
Is it that sometimes when we've not grieved enough on a situation, or then it doesn't leave us? So I remember, it's been about more than 30 years that my father passed away. We were very, very young, and the situation was like that, that we're too scared to accept. Even my mother was so young, to what was happening. So we have three sisters, and we realized after so many years, as in like last 2-3 years, that actually we had started talking about it. That possibly we didn't really grieve, or we didn't even really talk about what is it. That's why it's so still alive in us, and that fear and that loss, and it's still. How do we tackle that? Because I think all of us are
We
going
go through
through that.
some things like this in our lives for sure. And yes, I do agree, because we are not really we're not given that opportunity to grieve, or grieving is not really thought of as being something which is, you know, um, good or acceptable. People are usually trying to console the other person with, because the whole idea of death, the whole idea of, person moving on, it has been sort of covered up in such a way or looked at something which is not good, right? But if we really understand that we are born and ultimately we're all going to die, none of us are eternal. Yes, the whole story attached to it, it could be something tragic, it could be something, like you're saying 30 years back. So obviously your father also must have been young, and obviously the whole trauma of whatever might have happened at that time to deal with it. And each one may not be mature enough to deal with it at that time. But now, when you come into a space of deeper awareness and understand that, yeah, that was the journey that he chose, that is how his life was meant to be. And, of course, at that time, we could not deal with the emotions, or we could not go with it fully. But now I'm happy and I'm peaceful because he is where he's meant to be. But what I'm grieving about is not that he has gone. What I'm grieving about is the fact that I have been abandoned, isn't it? I don't have a father, or I don't have a partner, or I don't have or such and such a thing has happened in my life. And how am I going to go through my remaining years without that so called conditioned way of being? You're supposed to be having your parents eternally, isn't it? That's what we all think. But we have to now come into a space of deeper awareness and understand that he is where he is. He's meant to be where he's meant to be, and he's peaceful. He's in a much much higher place, higher space than any of us are. But that does not mean that you don't feel the emotion, you don't feel the sadness, you don't feel the the pain, the grief, the missing. You feel all those emotions, but you don't attach yourself to those emotions so much. You don't attach yourself to those emotions, and you don't make that your life story. That, oh, this happened to me, and so I'm victimized and life wasn't fair or things weren't fair. That is what is not acceptable, if in a way I may say. And a lot of us don't talk about things of, like when you talk about death or somebody who's passed on, it's like, yeah, now the person is gone. So we're not supposed to talk about it, because talking about it is like pressing the rewind button, isn't it? It's like picking up the whole pain story again. Yeah, it's like pressing the rewind button. But that needn't be true at all. You may go through, and you may also remember that supposing we had a person in our life, say for 30 years or for 20 years or for 50 years, they were, and now this person has moved on. There must be millions of times when you can think of that person and think of the wonderful memories that you shared with that person, the values the person shared, the goodness of the person, the richness of that relationship, and we can remember that too. But we only remember, oh, it's been so sad that this has happened, isn't it? And you keep going back to that because a part of you feels, it's again that victimized part of you. It's that egoic part of you which feels that, yeah, because the conditioning is that, yeah, she's somebody who doesn't have a father, or she's somebody who doesn't have a partner, or whatever it might be. It's different for each person. But I would say that there are various processes, like we even say that you tap, you express, you cry, you share what you want to. But now we are not in that space of still getting caught in just the modalities. Yes, the modalities help you to identify the emotion and deal with them as we are going along. But more than that, the modalities, or this awareness, or this space that we all connect to so easily now, it's to really understand and be in that space where you know that, okay, this was the journey, or this is how it was meant to be. You and I couldn't change it. But you don't need to say those things from a space of, victimized energy, or poor me, yeah, why me, isn't it? You need to say the same thing from a higher space. I wish I could spend more time with my father. I would have loved to do it. And yeah, cherish what you spent with him. Enjoy. But we never remember that. Like you said in the beginning, we hardly ever remember the good moments. And even when we remember the good moments, they lead to emotional upheaval. So we don't even want to talk about them, because it is thought of something that is missing in your life, and something that should have been longer or could have been longer. But that's not how life is, isn't it? That's really not how life is. Yeah. Gitanjali wanted to share something. Gitanjali, are you there, and can you share? Anyway, anybody else who wants to ask or share something on this, in this aspect? We really need to understand that for everything, whenever we say that we are not feeling good in life, or something is not making me feel joyous or peaceful or calm, that means that we have pressed some rewind button, or we are dealing. And actually, what do we mean that we have pressed the rewind button? It's just that we are living very much in the past. Things were like that many years back, and they're not like this today. But they're not going to be like this every day, every moment, every minute is going to be different. And it has its own pluses, it has its own minuses. We cannot compare any two moments. So living in that past, or going back to those memories, some good, some bad, that I wish, it was as beautiful as it was many years back, or I wish I was still living in that space. It really limits you, because you're living not in the real. You're not here where you're meant to be in the present. You're either thinking of how beautiful it was in the past and how beautiful it could be in the future. And neither of them exist. Neither of them exist. Right? And a lot of times, like I said, we may not be able to sort of delete that memory or that imprint, but we cannot afford to be identified and make that imprint our identity.
Yeah. We don't need to delete it, as you're rightly saying, and why should one?
You
It's just
cannot.
that
Struggle is that I don't want to think about this. It's okay to think about it, but you don't need to be attached to that pain body that you have made in your head. How will you not think about it? How will that memory not come into your life? Isn't it? It's impossible that you will not think about it. Yes, with time things become different. You move on in life, you get involved. Otherwise, your attention, your awareness starts to move in other directions and other things. But you cannot delete it. It's not something that can be deleted at all.
correct.
So we come back. Yes, Ramila Auntie, you're muted. Are you saying something? Thank you for joining in from the hospital. We are sending you so much of love.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I was talking about, you're saying that you hang on to something. And in the past, I have thought that I don't normally hang on to these things.
Mm-hmm.
When my mother passed away, and people would say, oh, I dreamt about her, I this thing, and, I miss her. And once I felt, I said, oh, I must be a very bad daughter that I don't talk like that about my mother. So you'll be surprised that she died when my elder daughter was getting married just a few months before that. And then slowly it happened that when my younger daughter, we were in the process of, getting her, finding up people for her and stuff like that. So I dreamt about her.
Mm-hmm.
She's standing with a mithai plate in her hand.
Mm.
And that's it.
Mm.
And that's how I remember her and I want to remember her.
Of course.
And fortunately, we have been very lucky that we have very good memories of her parents.
Mm-hmm.
And all good ones.
Yeah.
So, it's totally different to what they were talking on, clinging on to it. But
yeah.
I did not want to cling on to it. We all moved forward.
Yeah.
And so that was a good.
Yeah, but we move forward and we move forward. That is the main thing that we need to have to move forward is that awareness that we don't need to be clinging on to it. Isn't it?
And
sorry, go ahead.
And all our children, we try to teach them from their lifestyle and their thoughts and their actions. Mm-hmm. And today, I think they are all settled on that.
Mm. Yeah, very good. Very good. Yeah. So that awareness has to be there. If that clinging on is giving you any kind of happiness, if the clinging on is giving you any kind of peace and, helping you to move on, then by all means do that. But we know that this clinging on is only limiting us, isn't it? And I always say, now let's understand what is wrong in feeling the negative emotions, what is wrong in feeling emotional, what is wrong in feeling pain or sadness or grief. Just feel it properly. As Vinita said, sometimes we get so suppressed, we don't even have time to breathe and we just suppress all our emotions, or probably at that time of trauma, we're not able to really comprehend or understand what is happening. We just keep going with the flow. And later on, life starts to dawn on us and we realize when we start living normally or we come back to our normal ways of being.
That happens. I think that happens. You get into the rut and then suddenly it hits you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but once again, I feel that whatever we are going through, we need to come back to two things. Whatever is troubling us is not of the present. Whatever is troubling us is only something that is over. Like I always say, the best thing about the past is that it's over. Or it is something that I would want to create and I'm anxious about, will I be able to, will it happen, from that point. So once we become aware and we come into the present, then there's nothing really that we need to either rewind or delete or refresh or reboot, isn't it? Only thing is come to awareness. Just any thought, like you can analyze whenever you're not feeling good about something, analyze what is it that is not making you feel good. Pick up that thought. It is definitely a thought of the past or of the future. What is happening right now can never trouble you, isn't it? And it's all related to this personhood. It's all related to this need to be correct. It's all related to this the egoic part of us, which gets, which likes that somebody keeps licking your wounds rather than helping you heal them.
That's
Isn't
true.
it?
We're again coming
That's
back to
true.
mindfulness.
Mindfulness, awareness, whatever you might like to call it.
Like every day, I mean, we living in the present is what I mean, rather than going back and back and
Living
forth.
present, living in the now. The only, I think the more and more as we are going into the, this life with the kind of understanding, with the path that we are all on, some may be understanding it more, some may be understanding it less, but all of us, for that matter, now really know that, there is a spiritual aspect to life. There is something greater than just, being a good parent or being a good sister, being a good daughter. There is definitely a bigger picture. And that's why a lot of times when people used to ask previously that, what is my soul purpose? Simple question like that. I remember very clearly that every stage of your life, you're given a different answer. What is your soul purpose? Now you're a student, your soul's purpose is to just excel in your education. And, this is the time where you need to complete what you're doing at this time. And if your soul purpose is something else at a later time and something else at a later time, it'll keep changing. So is that really your soul purpose? And now as we evolve on the spiritual path, we know that there is no purpose. There is absolutely no purpose. There is only one purpose for every soul, each one of us who have incarnated, to understand that we are that love, we are that joy, we are not just this human body coming here to play a particular role of a particular person as whatever, These are all just roles that we are playing, but all the time being in awareness that you are a higher consciousness, and all this drama that is happening is only happening from the egoic point of view. Isn't it? It's only to satisfy the ego, the person. So whenever we are disconnected from the present, we go into a space of, maybe pain, discomfort, not feeling good, life is not supporting me, whatever it may be. And it's again like different for different people. It's only when you have moved out of that awareness and your mind, your ego is so strong and so subtle at the same time that it doesn't even make you don't even realize what you're going through.
Sujata, I'll take off because thank you so much, everybody, for your blessing. And I'll now disconnect, please.
Please rest well.
Thank you.
Get well soon.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Does anyone have anything to share? Otherwise, what I had thought was that, we've been speaking enough about all these things in different ways, whether it was from the point of being in the present, judging, forgiveness, all these things that we have been speaking on these Sunday topics. So I thought more than just talking about them and understanding them, it's let's just do like a meditation to be in the present, a meditation to really be in the present. And again, we may have so many meditations and so many things, but what clicks when, which experience makes us feel so fulfilled that we want to go back to that stillness, or we want to go back into the present moment, we may never know. Isn't it? We may never know. So that's the space that we need to operate from more and more. And rather than speaking and going again into the same, digging of those old issues is not really helping beyond a point. What is helping for me is the experience of being in the present.
Sujata, can I ask something?
Yes, Sangeeta, please go ahead.
Just very quickly. I mean, I know.
No, please take your time. There's no hurry at all.
No, all this we take on board, and I'm sure everybody who's going through their various issues, and we all are dealing with it. The past, the future, and to be in the present. Very, very important. Mm-hmm. It is difficult. not to press the rewind button, because your past is influencing the now as well. And sometimes for certain people, you also have to deal with that past because it's still continuing in your life, not because you're thinking or anything, you're actually physically dealing with that issues. So that becomes a little difficult, Sujata,
Yeah,
to
so
confront the need.
yeah. So see, Sangeeta, you're dealing with the past. It's not the past. If you're dealing with it now, it is something which is in the present, isn't it? Yes, it could be a
Yeah.
pattern that came from the past, or it could be a behavioral way of being, or a pattern that you're still dealing with. But I say today that whatever it might be,
Or that person.
or that person for that matter, who has been like a trigger in the past and is still there in your
Yes.
triggering you, it's not about the person. We really
Right.
to get this now. It is not about the person. Now, this person may not choose to change his or her entire life. Would you like to waste your life thinking that, yeah, when this person's behavior changes, then my life will be peaceful? That is the mistake that most of us make. That person may not choose to change in his or her entire life.
No, that's fine. I mean, acceptance has come, and
Yeah,
there is, otherwise I wouldn't be able to continue. What I'm
of course.
saying is, yeah, I've seen that person change, has moved on, made a new life for himself. But the thing is, that person is still a part of my life. I cannot change that. But every time that I have to deal with that person, it again brings back memories. And
Yeah.
sometimes I have to just tell myself that stop, stop.
Yeah, but you see, they're only memories of the past. They're only memories because they make you feel that, yeah, this person has harmed you, or this person has not been fair to you, or this person was
Yeah,
good sometime and now he's not as good or not as respectful as he was in the past.
yeah,
So it's all about the past. So why do we need to go there? Because if thinking about that or going into that is helping you to deal with the present, by all means do that. But if it is not
right.
helping you, it is only pulling you further down into a deeper whirlpool, deeper. It's just
Yeah,
sucking you into that and you just cannot step out. Then why do I want to go into that memory? And if I go unconsciously or go as a habit, because I'm
yeah.
so miserable, and again, my blame is on the outer circumstances. Let me not, overlook that.
No,
That
absolutely.
like the misery that I'm going through today is because of such and such a situation created by such and such a person. Isn't it? That story is definitely alive in my mind,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And
No,
till I go
absolutely.
into this blame thing, I will not be able to be free. Isn't it? How can I be in the present
True.
when I'm still looking outward? I'm still thinking that even if the person has changed or moved on, I've moved on, but I'm still holding that blame in my heart. I'm still holding that
Yeah.
whatever I'm suffering is coming from the actions of such and such a person, even if they were in the past,
No, absolutely.
isn't
Absolutely,
it? So
Sujata.
I'm still
Yeah.
my focus is all still outwardly directed, isn't it? Instead, if I say, okay, so this is my life, as unfortunate as it is that, I have not been able to uh, sort of make my life the best in the circumstances that my life has been or is, then I can still choose to, live more happily and more freely. Right now, I'm feeling I'm totally caught in that. I'm totally caught
Yeah.
in that cage that has been set for me from many years, isn't it? I'm still trapped. I may have moved on physically, but I'm still trapped
Yeah.
in that cage.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Right?
You're
I need
absolutely
to step
right.
out. I need to step out and say that actually that cage doesn't exist. Actually, that cage just does not
Right.
exist. I'm just thinking that I'm living in this cage and um, mm, I'm like bound, I'm like limited, I am not able to move ahead because of something. And that memory will pop up because your mind is very sharp and very clever. It knows which memories trigger and, allow you to slip down. And why is the mind bringing
Absolutely.
up those things? Because it really wants you to transcend that and move ahead, telling you that you have a higher wisdom, a higher consciousness, a higher power that you are. which is not going to be affected by all these blame games or all these memories from the past. It's only a thought, it's only a memory. There's nothing more than that. So
No,
don't slip into
absolutely.
that. Yeah, that's the
Exactly.
awareness that you, and the triggers keep coming. The triggers will keep coming, and be in gratitude that the triggers are showing you that there's still little more work that you need to do just to transcend this issue that you're struggling with, and
Yeah.
totally you are self-sufficient to deal with your life and go ahead, because the universe is there to support you. Forget about person ABC. And as challenging as your life circumstances or situations are at this time, you will still be
Yeah.
supported in some way. It's a very low
Very
tide.
beautifully said.
Well, feeling I'm drowning, it's fine. Just hang in there and you'll see that how you'll be able to overcome and come out of that wave.
Thank you, Sujata. So beautifully put. I mean, yes, those triggers they are a reminder. I should look at it as a reminder
Yeah.
that yes, I need to work on myself and, overcome. I am capable of overcoming it.
Yeah.
Beautifully said, Sujata. Thank you so much.
Yeah. And those triggers will keep coming. We keep thinking that now the trigger should not come. But somewhere in our mind, we are holding that imprint, and that's why the triggers are coming. No? If I've overcome it, even if a trigger comes, it's not going to touch me. But I'm still holding on to that hook. This happened to me. This is my life story. So the mind will definitely keep throwing those triggers at you. The mind will definitely keep throwing those triggers at you so that you're able to outgrow them. Isn't it? And that's the whole soul purpose, really, to understand that these are triggers which are happening, but it's all a drama that is happening in your life. You don't need to be attached to any of them. Just watch them, just observe them. Don't involve yourself and become one with it. Help them to evolve. We were listening to a satsang yesterday, and it was saying that the situations or the triggers, the challenges that we feel, we get involved in them. Rather, we should be getting evolved. I'm not using the correct language that Muji Baba was using, but if we get involved in it, then we are caught in the trap. But if we're able to use that same situation to evolve, that's our growth.
Right.
Right?
Oh, that's
situations
nice.
are put in your path to evolve, not involve yourself in it.
Bilkul. Thank you so much. Thanks, Sujata.
Thank you.
Beautifully said.
Thank you. And thank you for sharing that. I mean, we all are going through challenges, and I know what you're going through, Sangeeta, and it's been a while since you've been, going through it. It's like, when is this phase going to end? When is this wave going to end?
Bilkul.
It only happen when your focus changes and you've tried everything, you're doing your best, you're dealing with it wonderfully, I would say. And so, just like shift the focus inwards, and like, I'll do this meditation the same way, shift into your awareness, come to your breath, and you'll see that everything will just settle down and pass away. And you still have to go through whatever you have to go through. You still, need to do and act in particular ways. So yeah, just go ahead and do that, but from a more peaceful space.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much, Sujata.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's just settle down in our spaces. And one of the most simplest ways to get out of the mind chatter or this repetitively going back into the past, the painful memories, the imprints, we try to push them away, that I just don't want to think this. I just don't want to think this. And the more we try, we're giving it more attention. Rather, the switch has to be in the other way by saying, okay, so it's coming, whatever the memory is coming, a tsunami is coming, thoughts are coming. Let me just shift back into my body, into the breath. Simplest, easiest meditation exercise, whatever you might like to call it. Just bring your awareness to the tip of your nose and be aware that you're alive, you're breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Breathing in and breathing out. Being aware of each incoming breath and being aware of each outgoing breath. Just coming into awareness of your body, of your posture, the way you're sitting, the space around you. And most of all, being aware of your breath. Gently breathing in and breathing out. Thoughts may come, may pull you here, there, but you have to do this, you did this happened, that happened, blah, 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 whatever it is. Just let it go on wherever it is. You come back to your breath. Just for this short while, don't engage in any thoughts. In fact, step back and just watch the thought pass away. Do that with the next one too. And whenever we sit and meditate, the mind will bring up all subtle issues. The most unimportant tasks will also seem very important. Just know these are tricks of the mind and come back to your breath. Always welcoming the incoming breaths and thanking the outgoing breath. Realize that you're really making no effort to breathe. Breathing is happening on its own. All your senses are working without you having to make an effort to make them work. You can hear, you can smell, you can feel. You can feel the weight of your body. You're totally in awareness with your breath. And thoughts may come, but for just this short time, we're not going to involve or engage ourselves in any of these thoughts. Let a thought come, gently watch it and let it pass away. Don't follow any thought. Don't dialogue with any thought. Notice that these thoughts are all arising in a space. Just allow yourself to rest in the space. This vast, infinite space. Who are you in this space? Just set aside everything that you normally identify yourself with. Here, there is no name, no gender, no expectations, no perception, no memory, no past, no future. Look now and gently see. Confirm what remains. Notice that it takes no effort to be here, no effort to reach the space, and no effort to remain in this space as the space. Confirm to yourself that you exist without all the things that you normally identify yourself with. Just notice the space, the vastness, the expansiveness of the space. Vast, infinite, endless space. Just allow yourself to rest in the space, rest deeply in the space, witnessing everything that is going around without any need to fix anything or to do anything. Notice that thoughts are distant and they are passing now. Notice that nothing can really touch you in the space. Notice that there is no you in the space, there is only space. The space in which everything manifests. The space which is home, which is so real to you. This space needs no fixing, no healing, no completion, no being in charge. Here there are no judgments, no expectations, no perceptions, no memories, no past, no future, no birth, no death, no you, no me. Recognize the space. You didn't find the space, so you cannot lose it. Rest here as long as you need to, as the space. Just take a moment to fully be in this space. Again, a thought may come, but it's not of the now, it's of the future or of the past. The space needs no healing, no completion, no being in charge. And here there are no judgments, no expectations, no perceptions, no memories, no past, no future. Even when you open your eyes or are doing something else, you can never leave this space. Knowing this, confirming this in your own space, your awareness back into your body, back to your breath. And then very slowly and gently with awareness, thanking this beautiful space, you may slowly and gently open your eyes. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much, Sujata.
From this space, you'll be guided to do whatever you need to do.
Thank you so much. Really, it's been so helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for being here, for
Thank you, Sujata.
listening. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujata.
Thank you, Poonam. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.